Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here for this Bicycle Friendly University webinar. The Bicycle Friendly University program is really happy to host today's webinar in partnership with our friends at Darrow. So thank you for being here, and thanks to our friends at Darrow for hosting and co-hosting and partnering with us to put on today's webinar. Some housekeeping notes out loud. Today's webinar is being recorded, and we will be posting the recording on our YouTube channel at Bike League and also at bikeleague.org/webinars. For those attending live today, closed captions are available, and you can hide or show those at any time from the bottom of your Zoom menu by clicking Show Captions or Hide Captions. And the chat should be disabled for attendees, but you are more than welcome to type questions into the Q&A box at any time. And we do hope to have time at the end of this, all the presentations, to address your questions, and we'll also be responding in the Q&A box as well. So feel free to type questions in at any time. You don't have to wait for the end. And now, out loud, here is the lineup for today's webinar. My name is Amelia Neptune. I am the director of the Bicycle Friendly America program at the League of American Bicyclists. And I am joined today by my colleagues in the field, starting with Erica Benti at Colorado State University, followed by Lindsay Lyons at Dickinson College, and then Steve Sanders at Darrow. So thank you to all three of them for joining me on the stage today. But before we hand it over to them and hear about their experiences with the program, I'm going to give sort of that 101 level intro to the BFU program. So for those of you who have already been participating in the BFU program for years, I might be repeating some things that you already know, but might be sharing some new things as well. And for those who are new to the BFU program, we're thrilled that you're here to learn more about it. So first, just to give a really brief intro to the League of American Bicyclists, we are a national nonprofit bike advocacy organization working to lead the movement to create a bicycle-friendly America for everyone. We've been at this work since 1880, so over 140 years of advocating for safe roads for everyone. Originally, we were advocating for the first paved roads in the nation. And today, our work looks a little bit different from that, but we do a lot of different advocacy work at the federal level. We also support state and local bike advocates. And we have a smart cycling program where we train and certify people to teach bike safety in their communities to children and adults, including bicyclists and drivers. We host the National Bike Summit, where we bring bike advocates to Washington, D.C. every year to advocate on Capitol Hill on behalf of bicyclists in their communities. We sponsor National Bike Month. We put out reports and data and research to support bike advocacy at all levels. And then the program that I run is the Bicycle Friendly America program, which includes evaluations of states, communities, businesses, and universities. You can learn more about these programs on our website at bikeleague.org/BFA. But just to give a very quick snapshot of some of the other programs, every couple of years, we rank all 50 states on how bicycle friendly their policies are, their funding, et cetera, at the state level. And then we have opt-in programs for communities, businesses, and universities where they apply, we evaluate them, we give them feedback. And so the BFU program is part of that, Bicycle Friendly University. It was added to the suite of programs under Bicycle Friendly America in 2011. And it really has two main goals: recognition and feedback. So providing campuses of all shapes and sizes, both the roadmap and the motivation to improve. Because as advocates, that really is our goal. The awards are a really nice sort of carrot to encourage and incentivize campuses to make improvements and to try to encourage them to move up in award levels. And the feedback is designed to help them figure out exactly how to improve and what they should do. So to step back a little bit, who can apply, who is eligible for the Bicycle Friendly University program? Basically any college or university in the US with a physical campus, so all the different types you see on your screen. If you're a university system with multiple campuses, we do ask that you submit one application per campus so that those are separate, and we're looking at the unique features, and especially when it comes to engineering and the physical infrastructure for each unique campus separately. Here is an overview of how many bicycle-friendly universities there are in every state and how many there are across the different award levels. We currently have 220 bicycle-friendly universities at the bronze or higher award level in 46 states and DC, and we are always excited to keep moving closer to all 50 states and DC. So maybe this year we will finally get there. And again, if you would like to explore the map of all of the BFA awards, you can find that on our website at the URL on your screen, and you can click on any state on the map and see the state ranking, and then scroll down and see the list of all the universities, as well as the businesses and communities that have been awarded. And these lists are sortable, so if you wanted to look by enrollment size or award level, you can also look at the nation-wide list by clicking between list and map view on our map. So now I'm going to talk very briefly about the application criteria and what it takes to earn the Bicycle Friendly University Award. The application itself is organized into this framework that we call the 5E framework, which is engineering, encouragement, education, evaluation and planning, and equity and accessibility. And we use these same 5Es for our business program and our community program, but I'll talk a little bit about the things that make campuses unique when it comes to the 5Es and some of the things that we like to see. And I think first it's really important to understand that when we're looking at these 5Es, we're always trying to put this information into context. So the two schools that you'll hear from today are very different campuses, as you'll hear from Lindsay and Erica. So we don't really grade them on exactly the same criteria as each other or as any other school. We look at things like the size, the geography, the climate, the demographics, all of those features that make every campus unique, and we take that into consideration when we're evaluating. So whether you have 31,000 students or under 2,000 students, the BFU criteria takes that into consideration. So some things that make BFUs sort of special and unique, and that opportunities, I would say, that campuses have in terms of the 5E framework. We're always looking at your bike network, but we know that not every campus has roads, for example. So if you do have roads, whether they're university owned or city owned or county or state owned, et cetera, we look to see, what are the speed limits, what are the bike infrastructure options there. But we know a lot of campuses have pathways, and you're dealing with pedestrians and bicyclists merging maybe on the quad at high traffic times between class changing periods. And so we take those kinds of factors into consideration as well. Something that I've loved to see is integrating students into the work of the BFU application and the work of improving campuses. So just as one example, Boise State University, which recently moved up to Platinum, they involved some art students on their campus, and I think they had a competition to do this, to develop some designed bike lane markings, and they were able to put the students' names and the year on it. And I just love that as a creative way to engage students and include them in this infrastructure piece on their campus. Bike parking is a really essential part for any bicycle-friendly community, business, or university, but for colleges and universities, thinking about both short-term and long-term bike parking and all the different needs, whether you're talking about students who live in the dorms and where they store their bikes at night, or over the summer, or over a winter break, or employees who are coming and staying at one location for 8 hours every day and need a secure place, or students that are moving their bike 12 times across the day and just need really easy, quick access. So different types of bike parking are needed at different points across the campus, and different kinds of campuses are going to have different bike parking needs. So again, we take that into consideration, and we encourage campuses to think about what their needs are and what their students' needs are. End of trip facilities, this is a great area to be creative in as well, thinking about things like commuter shower passes for all the buildings that have locker rooms or shower rooms to allow your bike commuters, both staff and students, to take a shower when they get to work or school if they had a sweaty bike ride. Also things like bike maintenance, fix-it stations, and a repair vending machine, all the way up to on-campus bike centers. And this is something we've seen happen at schools of all shapes and sizes. And one of the reasons I'm really excited to highlight Dickinson today is because they are one of our examples of a really small school that has managed to develop an on-campus bike center. So this isn't just something for big schools and with large campuses and state school budgets, but this is something that can be done at schools of all shapes and sizes. But this can be a place where bike education is happening, where bike rentals happen, where bikes can be fixed up, and where students can learn how to fix their own bikes, and where purchases can be made as well. Information can be shared in a lot of different ways on campuses. One of the examples I've seen that I love is a bike station with pamphlets and bike maps and information, and of course some tools and an air pump. This is at University of Colorado, Boulder. And then mobile repair services, engaging the student volunteers from the campus bike shop to go out onto the main field a couple times a year to offer mobile repair services, or in contracting with a van service, or even getting a working bike that has all the tools attached, so that this could happen even on a weekly basis. The next category, bike education. This is a really fun area where we see schools getting really creative. And I'm excited Erica will be talking a little bit about what Colorado State has done around bike education to just take some of the resources of the League Smart Cycling curriculum and really run with it. We do put out a lot of resources, though, for our Smart Cycling program that I encourage you all to look into as just potential sources of information and curriculum, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can purchase printed materials or use our videos or our online tools completely for free, and think about what kinds of bike education is needed on your campus, recognizing that there are college students who still need to learn how to ride a bike. This is actually a picture from AARP of older adults learning how to ride a bike, so it's never too late, and that's something that we really encourage colleges and universities to think about, is making sure that this form of transportation is accessible to everyone by giving them not just access to bikes and places to bike, but the education to safely and confidently bike as well. Schools also have a really awesome opportunity to incorporate bikes into academic curriculum. We even have a school, Lees McRae College, that has a cycling studies minor. I would encourage you all to check out if you're curious, but also people using bikes in their field research, and bikes in assignments, and the Bicycle Friendly University or Bicycle Friendly Business application as an assignment for students. And we've seen that done in so many different fields, from kinesiology to planning to policy. So this is, there's a lot of creative work being done all across the country. And this is something we really like to see in Bicycle Friendly University applications. On the topic of education, there's nothing better than peer-to-peer education for a lot of college students looking to learn bike safety. Learning from another college student can be a really effective way. UC Irvine is a great example where we've seen this done really well. Colorado State also has a really awesome ambassador program, so excited to hear more from Erica about that as well. And then another area, finally, for students to get engaged in is research and data. So many schools are collecting a lot of data, and students are looking for research projects. So encouraging the crossover between whatever department is looking for information about how to do a better job of incorporating biking into their transportation planning by surveying the entire campus community, and then engaging with student researchers to analyze that data, whether it's survey data or safety data, or ridership data, or maybe a unique project that a student comes up with and proposes. And then finally, all of this work should be done through the lens of equity and accessibility, recognizing that different people have different barriers to bicycling, and the same solution won't work for everyone. And this is true across campuses, across the country, across neighborhoods. So we really try to encourage colleges and universities to think about things like, should your education be offered in multiple languages? Should you do extra outreach to international students? Do you have adaptive bikes as part of your bike share program? Does your bike parking accommodate adaptive bikes or cargo bikes? And it's really important to recognize that not every disability is visible to others, and not everyone with an accessibility needs identifies as disabled. So this is a large community on almost every campus. And to drive home the point, I want to point everyone to a video that I think is really eye-opening on this topic from a group called Rooted in Rights, and the video is called Disabled People Ride Bikes. And I would just encourage everybody who's on this webinar to take a minute to watch the video and think about this audience on your campus and how you can enable and support more biking for people with disabilities or mobility challenges on your campus. So that was a really quick run through of some examples across the 5 E's. If you are hungry for more examples, I just want to point to one thing, and I'll put the link in the chat in a moment. But this is something we published as part of our 2023 BFU awards announcement. It's an interactive highlights map showing off a lot of cool things that we saw on different campuses that were awarded in the last round all across the country. So this is only the campuses that were in the 2023 review cycle. But just to give you a sense of how the map works, you can click on any dot and see photos and highlights of what that school was doing. Going back here, you can see the different categories of activities. You can also filter by smaller schools and community colleges. So it's a really cool resource, and I would encourage you all to check it out. And with that, I will just say, if you're ready to apply and eager to learn more, check out our website, bikeling.org/university, and our online application. We do have a PDF version of the application, so I'd encourage you to create an account online and start the online application. But if you're not quite ready for that, you can just download the PDF version, scroll through all the pages and the table of contents to see what is on the application. The PDF also highlights what has been added since the last year, and also points out what questions are hidden on the online application because they're dependent questions on certain answer options above. I will also say that the application portal has a really great FAQs page. So if you have questions about how to add collaborators, if you have multiple people working on your application, or how the payment process works for the application fee, check out our FAQs, and of course, feel free to reach out to us with any questions. So I'll put this screen up one more time so people can take note of the URLs, and I will also be adding some links to the chat for those watching live. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Erica at Colorado State University.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. All right, let me just share my screen with you real quick, and then we'll dive in. So, okay, here we go. We're going to get it playing. Here we go. Does that look good, Amelia? Is it? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, looks great.
Excellent. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Erica Benti. I'm with Colorado State University, we are located in Fort Collins, Colorado. We're north of Denver in the Front Range, and you can see some stats about our school here, about 32,000 students, almost 10,000 employees. And I didn't put it on the slide, but to give you some context, the city of Fort Collins that we're in is a population of about 170,000, and we're located kind of right in the middle of town. We're really proud to be a Platinum bike-friendly university since 2015. We did our last application process about a year ago. Yeah, I'm excited to share with you going through the 5 E's, and I just kind of picked out some of the things that I think CSU does really well, or are really noteworthy for, especially kind of that application period that we did. But before I dive into that, I just wanted to explain, one big thing that was kind of an overarching theme for our application, and that has really been an overarching theme for the work that we're doing here, is our commitment to Vision Zero in the past few years. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of a look at what that journey has been like for us. So it actually started out, unfortunately, with a tragedy at CSU. On the first day of school in 2019, one of our students was out for a run in the morning and was struck by another student motorist, and eventually died of their injuries. And that was the first fatality, on our campus that was related to our transportation system in many years. And it was a pretty big wake-up call for us. And so at that time, our president put together a safety task force and said, let's look at, we need to make sure that our campus is safe for people, moving around it in any way. So initially that was called the Safety Task Force, and, put out some an initial report that you can see here with recommendations. And we did kind of follow the structure that the league has, looking at kind of these different categories and areas where we can improve. And we did look at the site where this happened, but we also really took a deep look really all over campus, our main campus and our campuses in Fort Collins, to really try to understand what we can do better as it relates to safety in our transportation system. So from when that started in 2019 to now, we've evolved to become the Vision Zero kind of committee, kind of an ongoing committee. And Vision Zero, I bet a lot of you have heard of this idea, but just to give you some background on that, that's a movement that started in Sweden in the 1990s, and it's to eliminate all traffic-related fatalities and serious injuries. And there are some components that are, part of often it's a municipality that's committing to Vision Zero. But we decided as a university that we would have our own Vision Zero effort, kind of looking at these different components. So as I'm going through our E's, a lot of these things are really related not only to bicycling on our campus, but also to our Vision Zero efforts. So I'm going to start with engineering. Picked out a few things to share. So one of our Vision Zero projects actually that definitely impacts biking as well was that we hired a consultant to develop a complete streets standard for our campus itself. So when a new road is constructed, or they're redoing something on campus, to make sure that all modes are represented when that road is done. And then also campus specific construction detour guidelines. So like I'm sure many of you on campuses, it seems like there's always construction going on here somewhere. And we want to make sure that no matter what mode you're using to get around it, you have a safe path to do that. We also have had quite a bit of new infrastructure on our campus in the past few years. I picked out just a few things to highlight. We had our first bicycle and pedestrian roundabout put in a few years ago. We've since added another, but this wasn't an area that just had a lot of like bike and pedestrian mixing kind of in all directions, and it was very unpredictable. So this is what it looks like on the ground, and then here it is, with people using it. You can see just added a lot more predictability to where bikes, skateboards, scooters were going, and then also some really clear crossing areas for our pedestrians. We also on our campus really focus a lot on separated trails, and really in the past 10 years or so have been kind of incrementally going through and converting a lot of our trails to separated, where we have the faster modes, bikes, scooters, skateboards, things like that on one side, and then pedestrians on the other. And it just really helps with those, especially those really high traffic areas, to keep people safe and also being able to move quickly. We also added in, I think this is kind of a fun one, we were just looking for other ways to get our, kind of safety messaging out. And so we added in some of these nice signs at our bike racks. It really was, we initiated it because we needed to help people who are parking their scooters understand the correct way to use our bike racks to do that. But we have a section on here that talks about different modes that might be using the racks. And then we also add in some other information, like you can see on the bottom here, the hand signals. So just trying to get out some helpful info to people who are using those modes. We brought Spin onto campus in 2021 to do e-bike and e-scooter share. And that's been going really well. We did a joint contract with the city of Fort Collins too, so the vehicles can kind of go on our campus and then also throughout the city. And a big part of the contract when we were looking for a provider was that we wanted to have, like Amelia was mentioning before, an adaptive fleet available. So Spin provides this adaptive bike fleet for folks who can't use kind of the typical two-wheel bikes or the scooters. And people can actually go online, request the bike, and it's delivered to them, and they can use it for the period of time that they sign up for. So that we found was also kind of a barrier that, yeah, if you have a bunch of adaptive bikes, but they're only in one location, sometimes it's difficult for people to actually get to that, to the bikes. So this way they can have it where they will use it and then be able to use the bikes. All right, so going on to education. I, again, picked out just a few things to highlight. Amelia mentioned we do have a whole lot of different education classes. I'll show you a couple that I brought up here, and then I can name a few others that we have that are pretty cool. This isn't exactly a class, but our move and bike tours, I think, have been really successful for bringing new students, kind of helping them understand and setting the expectations from the get-go. So this happens during move-in week for our first-year students or new students who are coming onto campus. They can sign up for bike tours, and they get to kind of see, get the lay of the land on campus and understand how to get around campus on bike. But we can also then use that opportunity to get some important safety messaging across. So this is a picture of one that we were doing specifically with our international students a couple of years ago. Another really big part of our educational outreach is our on-campus bike shop that's run by student mechanics, the Spoke, and then they also have a mobile location. So that's a great place that gets tons of interactions with students, and they even do host some classes too, like build a bike type workshops where people can learn those types of skills. I wanted to share a couple of employee-specific classes that we do too. So Get Back on the Bike is an academic year-long program where you meet monthly, and it's for employees who maybe rode a bike at some point in the past, but are really wanting to get back into bike commuting. So they sign up to commit to commute on their bike more often, and then they get these lunch and learn classes where they learn things like cycling in winter or specific information about the infrastructure on our campus. And in this case, in these pictures, this is one where they were in one of our nutrition labs learning to make some good snacks for biking. And then there's this one is another employee specific one, community rides that we do over the summertime when we have fewer of our students on campus, but we bring our employees together and get to just have kind of a social opportunity to ride around and chat with each other, and then and also of course get some education in there as well. We also do adult learn to ride classes, and definitely kind of the smart cycling and some of the curriculum that we get from the league, bicycle friendly driver, and really try to offer just a variety of different classes for people to participate in. Okay, so encouragement. This is, I have a few in here. Sometimes it's a little hard to decide where it goes between education and encouragement because we try to infuse education into everything, but here are some examples. We had a program where we were offering free U-locks to our students as they came in and registered their bikes. So that was a great way to get lots and lots of U-locks out there in students' hands. We also had a program, as there was, during that period of time where there was a lot of funding coming in for essential workers, we had a program that got e-bikes into the hands of essential workers on our campus. And there was an educational component that came along with that as well. We Ride is a big event that we do during move-in week for our first-year students, in addition to the tours. It's kind of a big festival style event where they can get hooked up with a free helmet, free lights, things like that, and then also get connected with our upcoming educational opportunities. And then Rams Ride Right is a fun one that we do that involves a lot of our student Rambassadors, our Ram ambassadors, because our mascot is the ram, is a ram. And so this is where we actually pop up and kind of catch people doing the right thing on their bike or scooter or skateboard, and then we reward them with gift certificates and things like that. Okay, so the last one here that I was going to talk about is the evaluation and planning. So we really try to make a lot of data-driven decisions, both in our, our bicycle programming and also with Vision Zero. And so we recently completed a TDM master plan, and we hired a consultant to put that together for us, and that's going into the campus's general master planning process as well. And so that came out with some mode-specific recommendations of things that we can improve here at CSU, and even setting some modes for us in the next 10 years. The next couple things are kind of Vision Zero specific. We are developing a reporter tool for people to be able to, on their phone, go and make a report of something, a transportation safety concern that they have, that will come directly to the Vision Zero committee to address. Then we take that information and as well as data that we get from our police department on campus and our medical center on campus. And we have now a data dashboard that tells us a little bit about the crashes that are happening on campus, the modes that are involved, the severity, location, stuff like that, to help us make decisions about where we need to make safety improvements. And then we also developed a crash evaluation committee or group that if a crash happens on campus, we'll go out and evaluate it for different things and decide if we need to make any changes, whether that's with the infrastructure or, education or policy. I wanted to just lastly mention, of course, there are a lot of things that we're still working on. And so the things that are really top of mind for us right now are how can we better have participation from marginalized groups on our campus, always minimizing conflicts between bicyclists and motorists and really all of the modes on our campus, because it's just such a dense area with so many different modes moving all at the same time. And then one that I'm sure many are grappling with right now, how do you keep bicycles safe and from theft, and also dealing with the increase of electric vehicles or electric scooters and bicycles, and charging in appropriate places for people to be able to charge. So that's what we're working on. And thank you very much. I can put my contact information in the chat for you all, and I'll pass it back over to Amelia.
Thanks so much, Erica. I loved hearing all of that, and just reminded me why you all have been a platinum level BFU for so many years. So thanks for sharing. Well, now I'm going to transition to a much smaller campus doing awesome things at a different scale. So Lindsay Lyons is with Dickinson College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And again, I want to reiterate that the BFU program is really designed for schools of all shapes and sizes. So we were excited to have Lindsay come on to share the perspective of a much smaller campus and what these things look like in that setting. Go ahead, Lindsay, thanks.
Great, thanks, Amelia. And I did see some questions popping into the Q&A as we're going. If we say anything, feel free to put them there, and Sarah's going to navigate us after we're all done here with being able to answer those. So again, I'm Lindsay Lyons. My title here at Dickinson College is Director of Sustainability Learning, and that's sort of an important context as I'm housed in our Center for Sustainability Education in our department of, I work in academic affairs actually. And kind of in contrast here to CSU, we're a small private residential liberal arts college in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. We have about 2,200 undergraduates. We have about 800 employees that work here. That's faculty and staff together. Many live in town, but many also commute kind of great distances. We're in a rural area. Carlisle itself is about 20,000 people, the town that we are in, and we are directly next to that. And part of the story that I'm going to share with you here today, in relation to Bicycle Friendly University and our journey there, is how we have really relied on partnerships for this as a small rural campus without much public transportation or active transportation infrastructure, or even work on that happening here. So our main campus is about 144 acres, and literally like 99% of our students live on our properties. So we are not a commuter campus, which would propose sort of even a different, really different model for this. But the nice thing is that most of our students are living with us for 4 years. So a big strategy that we have is really is working through the educational aspects of biking and really teaching this as a lifelong skill, and providing the resources and education so that it's not just a campus-driven project or program, but instead more of this sort of life skill liberal arts learning. I saw there was, when I was reviewing my Bicycle Friendly University application last night, it says like who's in charge of all of this work. And I thought this was an important distinction. There's a category called The position is focused on a variety of sustainability issues, including biking. And that's sort of where I fall. I run our sustainability programs in the curriculum and outside the curriculum, and that has been where Dickinson has really excelled. Biking is a huge part of that, but we don't actually have anyone at the college that is fully dedicated to biking and transportation. We've sort of chosen to wove it in through our efforts to really rise in the sustainability rankings in what we do. We are a carbon neutral institution, which has been another angle at which we have approached this in terms of our employee commuting, and then, promoting the walking, biking, and ride sharing amongst our student population has really helped us as we've worked to change behaviors. This was a huge campaign that we had during our year of carbon neutrality, which we reached in 2020, and biking was a huge part of that. Bicycle friendly university wise, we've been certified since 2014. So this is an application process that you do need to reapply every 4 years. I don't know if anyone has said that yet. And luckily from 2014 to 18, we were able to rise from silver to gold. We are still a gold certified institution, and we most recently completed that application in 2022. And then an area that it just makes me really proud is one of the recommendations that came back to us in 2018, in summary, was why don't you work with your community more and try and, inspire them to make some changes. And because you're such a small campus, and through that work, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, right, the town that our little college is in, was able to become a bicycle-friendly community then in 2019. And I do think our institutional commitment and application to that work did really spread into that. And what we've realized since then is like a place our size with the budgets that we're talking about, we can't really do it without each other. We actually don't even have roads that the campus manages, right? Those are all done by our surrounding municipality. So if we wanted to advance this work for our institution, it required us to work with that municipality as well. So what does that look like? We have been advocates. We've hosted workshops on our campus for bicycle advocacy groups in the community. And then we've also had students, faculty, and staff attend borough council meetings that have been working. We recently also, Erica just committed to a Vision Zero for the borough of Carlisle. It's a 10-year goal, right, by 2033, which is a long way off, but it does just show for a fairly conservative small Pennsylvania town that these resolutions and initiatives are sort of making their way through there. Our community partnerships have also changed. We have a new pump track right next to campus, and we were sort of instrumental in the fundraising and marketing for that. Because our campus and the community are so sort of intertwined, our fix-it stations and engineering and infrastructure on campus also benefits the town. We maintain our property, trails, farm, and then these fix-it stations so that the community can access all of this as well. And then in exchange, we can market the community programs to our incoming students and kind of a win-win. We have, for a tiny little place, we estimate we have about 600 bikes on campus at any time, with bike parking for about 900. So that's like a 1-to-3 ratio for parking. But it's also, we estimate 30 to 40% of our campus is actively biking. It's, as I said, there's not really roads to navigate to many of our buildings on campus. So in many instances, it's actually faster because of our bike infrastructure and rack structure. It's actually faster to bike to class than it is to drive. So we do have a variety of racks, and we've really customized those. And we've definitely grown in sort of some of these longer term and more creative shelters, solutions, and indoor storage programs as well. We have a new LEED Platinum residence hall at the college, and one of the big elements, you're going to hear from Darrow later. I'm pretty sure these are Darrow racks in this. Yeah, they're shaking their heads. They're like, yeah, we did that. Just, starting to think about, as we're redesigning buildings and spaces, having the bike infrastructure being more built into those, because we don't have a transportation department to really push for those things, right? So we're trying to we haven't been able to really advance on bicycle specific master plans standalone, but where we have had success is as we are working on college level strategic plans, college level master plans, or any new construction or large remodeling projects, we've been able to incorporate the biking infrastructure, storage, and engineering into those things as well. A really popular program for us, 70% of our students study abroad. And, we have students coming here from over 40 countries around the world, and first years can't have cars. So, though there's a lot of people that can't drive for various reasons on our campus. So biking has been a really great option for them. And we do provide long-term free indoor, winter, summer, long-term, or study abroad storage for these bikes. That's kind of like valet style. And that has been a really popular program to get students to either purchase the bikes on their way in, or purchase bikes while they're here, or bring bikes from home, even if they're at great distances, knowing that they don't need to transport them to and from campus at the beginning and end of every semester. Again, partnerships in the community, what has that looked like? We are really committed. We're a small town. We do have a bike shop that's been there since the 1950s. It's family owned. We have a great partnership and collaboration with them. And collectively, we've really worked with them to basically put more bikes on the streets versus, we did have to nurture the relationship a little bit to not see them see us as taking business away from them. So we've worked to create discounts for students and employees at the shop. We've hosted joint mechanic training classes for their new employees and volunteers in our things. A couple years we ran shop and ride programs where first year students could order a custom bike before they got to college, and then once at college, the bike would be delivered to them in partnership with these local shops, which really boosted our local economy in our small town too. And then the students had the bike for the 4 years they were in college. We've worked on the community pump track together, and we've written some community collaborative grants to get helmets, locks, and lights to low-income community members. These aren't really even targeting our student population. This is sort of the larger community at large. And, we do small scale stuff like, we build a bike blender and we sell the smoothies to raise money for other organizations. I do think it's important to scale for you everything that I'm talking about here, including our bike share options that we're coming up to here in a little bit. The operating budget for that for us annually is about $7,000 to $10,000, including staff time. So we're talking really small scale dollars in terms of transportation kind of infrastructure, how far that goes. So where we've put our efforts is in things like educational community rides, where we are distributing helmets, locks, and lights and teaching people how to ride safely in our town. And doing activities. This really brings together the equity issues that Amelia was talking about, where we're working with, anything from addicts that have lost licenses to youth that are trying to learn to bike to school to, their health and wellness biking programs in the community. And then also just families that want to learn how to ride safely together, or kids that, need help learning how to ride safely on the streets. We host these workshops at least once each semester. These are just us doing some games and activities with kids, teaching them how to ride safely. Amelia had highlighted our Handlebar Bicycle Cooperative, which is our campus bike center. It is not a place where any money is exchanged whatsoever. So these are resources that are subsidized by the university. And again, we're just trying to get more bikes on campus and in the street. But the bigger goal is to provide the tools, training, education, and basically the infrastructure so that people can learn how to take care of their own bikes. So you can't actually drop your bike off here and have it fixed. You have to stay in there with it and learn how to work on it yourself, which is sort of a liberal arts educational spin on kind of a classic bike center. It's only open when we have volunteers to open it, and our volunteers are, you know, I would say ranging from professional bike mechanic to kind of interested in biking and want to hang out in there. So we have the full spectrum of that. We do have 2 campus bike shares, and we've literally had these since the 90s. For us, again, for a small college, that was pretty innovative at the time. We have 20 bikes in 3 different sizes that students can borrow. Students, faculty, staff, or guests can borrow for a day. These are daylight only. You leave your ID. It's a free service. All the bikes are going in and out of one place on campus at our public safety office. It's not sort of a ride and drop thing. You got to bring it back. Green bikes are another program. We have about 50 of them. They have been built by volunteers and bike mechanics from our campus. And these are free long-term loan. So a student, faculty, or staff would give us $25 and they would get a bike, a lock, and a helmet for the entire semester. That bike is theirs. This works really well for our international students or students with maybe a job off campus that need frequent access to a bike, but maybe can't afford one or maybe aren't ready to invest in one. So this has been a really great program to get a lot of people back into biking, and also sort of those steps of learning how to take care of your own bike and not just enabling them with the bike share where it's sort of someone else's problem. This sort of becomes their part of their life. And we actually have certified bike officers both on campus and in the Carlisle police force here in town. These guys are awesome. They help us with rides. They do patrol by bike, which again, for a small town is pretty exciting. The one challenge that we've learned from them is on campus, sometimes there's only one officer on duty at a time. And you can't be on a bike if you're the only one here, because there are things that they need for enforcement that are need to be in the vehicle. So that's kind of just another issue we're dealing with at the moment. So again, in terms of evaluation and planning, we've really had to rely on partnerships. There is no one here that is certified in engineering, planning, or has any of the master level bike certifications, but I do feel like we've been able to make a difference with less than $10,000 a year, and probably less than 10% of my time on this. I do hire a 10-hour-a-week biking intern every semester. That's a student who helps with the Bicycle Friendly University application and, you know, all the presentation or all the programs that you've seen throughout this presentation. And you know, as Erica said, there's a million other things we want to continue to do and work on evaluating and improving safety, and then really, you know, doing some formal planning and assessing of our programs is the next step for us. The one thing that's been really great is that the Bicycle Friendly University application has brought the feedback report that they have provided to us. Has been instrumental in helping us plan our next steps, because they know the best practices that are out there for everyone, and they're really making those recommendations back to us. So I think that is it. I'm going to turn it over to Amelia, who I think is going to introduce Steve.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lindsay. I love hearing all of that. And yeah, very, very proud to hear about everything Dickinson is doing. So Steve Sanders, I think a lot of you on the call know, I consider him an alum of the BFU program because he's formerly the active transportation manager at Platinum-level University of Minnesota, but now he's with Darrow, working with colleges and universities all across the country. So Steve, would love to hear some comments from you before we move on to Q&A.
Sure. What I really wanted to talk about today is some of the kind of unseen benefits that can accrue to your program from participating in the BFU program. And oftentimes the work that we do is kind of lonely work, and sometimes it's kind of outside of the mission of the university as conceived by, you know, the university brass. And so we're kind of, you know, on our own and trying to figure things out. And what the program really does, I think, when you apply and get a designation, it really lends legitimacy to your efforts. Here you have an outside accrediting agency, the league, has taken a look at your program and has designation. And it's really helpful to use that designation in your work internally, because if you can point to the work, that it sets a virtuous circle going. You know, you put in all this hard work like Lindsay and Erica have done in their fantastic programs. And I encourage everyone to steal all of their ideas, and they've done some really good things. So steal from them at will. I'm sure they don't mind. And what it does then is it lends that legitimacy for your efforts, and it sets this cycle in motion. So you've done hard work, now you're receiving recognition for that, and that lends internal legitimacy, like when you're trying to get money. Because it's always, everybody knows it's always a struggle to get funding. And funding can come from a lot of different places. And sometimes you're up against, you know, funding for the library, and you have to make your own case. And if you can make that case by saying, look, this program that we're doing now has been recognized by a national accrediting agency, and they recognize that we're doing great work. And the other thing that it provides you with is kind of a roadmap for what you need to do to improve. When I first started applying for the program, we kind of worked our way up through the ranks. We started out as silver. And my boss said to me, he was kind of a Boy Scout leader type, so merit badges and stuff like that was really important to him. And I told him, well, hey, we got silver designation. He said, well, why didn't we get gold? And so I was able to say, well, this is why we didn't get gold. Here's a bunch of reasons why we didn't get gold. He said, well, next time I want to get gold. And so I was able to leverage that designation with the suggestions that could help us achieve a better result. And so we applied a couple of years later after we had done some stuff, and we got gold then. And then, of course, the response was, well, is there anything higher than gold? And I said, well, yeah, there's platinum. He said, well, why don't we get platinum? So I thought, okay, well, again, here's a list of things that we could do to improve our program and have a better program, but also be recognized for a better program. And it really, really helps when you're to build a reputation within the university as a successful program. You know what you're doing, you're improving campus, you're doing all these things, and you're being recognized for it. And that's really important when you're having these discussions about funding and about positioning the program and about where you fit in the university. How do you fit in the university, and how does your program, how can that outreach to the community? Both Lindsay and Erica talked about that, about being in their community. One of the functions of a university is provide outreach to the community that they're in. And you can lead by example in the things that you do on campus, things that you're recognized for on campus, will out into the community. And that is, you're able to loop into that aspect of the university is outreach. And so it really helps with that too. So I think all of these things together, and it puts a little spring in your step too, when you're recognized as you're managing a program that's been recognized as a good program, and you know what you need to do to improve. It shows the public too, who are, and potentially for students who are looking, well, what does the institution think about biking? And are they committing resources to it? And this is another way, the program is another way that the institution can show that it pays attention to this, it's willing to commit resources to it, and that it's important that they improve and that they're constantly improving. And the BFU program provides you a means to be able to do that. And I think that's really important. And it's kind of an unseen thing, but I think personally and professionally and internally, it's really invaluable that way. And I encourage everybody, just for that reason alone, to to apply, get your designation, part that you're going to improve, because you typically won't start out at the top, but you kind of work your way up, and you'll have tools that will allow you to do that and take advantage of that, and feel good about what you're doing. And it just feels good to be recognized for doing a good job and for providing better infrastructure and just a better, you've been entrusted with a little corner of campus. That's your little area, it's tiny little corner. And your job is to kind of make it better for those people who pass through that corner. And this is a way that you can gauge how you're doing on your little corner of the university that you've been entrusted with. And I encourage everybody to really apply and take it seriously and use it as a stepping stone to improve, and you won't regret it. I've loved the program from the very beginning, and it's just been, it was a big part of what I did at the University of Minnesota for 25 years. So I encourage everybody to apply.
Thanks so much, Steve. That's really awesome. We've gotten some great questions in the Q&A, and I really appreciate Lindsay and Erica have been answering them in writing. But if we have time to maybe tackle one, Sarah, if you think there's like a really great one that would help a lot of people on the call, let's go ahead and pick one.
Yeah, absolutely. I have identified one that I think, and Erica already chimed in, and I appreciate that so much, Erica. But one that I thought was really applicable to every panelist. And then also want to say thank you to both Erica and Lindsay for chiming in via chat to get everyone's questions answered. But I think if Lindsay and Steve maybe want to chime in, and Erica, maybe you can also just verbalize what you put in the chat. Someone was asking about more examples like the roundabouts at CSU of navigating the space use conflicts between pedestrians and cyclists, which I think is something everyone could answer, particularly regarding excluding bikes from pedestrian only areas or vice versa.
Well, I can talk about a problem area we had at the university. There's a bridge across the Mississippi River that about 12,000 bikes a day cross the bridge, and there's 14,000 pedestrians. And there was kind of a choke point, and there was the classroom, kind of a classroom services building, and where the bursar was, and a big function office. The doors went right out into this space. And we tried over the years, tried to do so many different things there, put in crosswalks and put in, different paint schemes and everything. And finally what we did was we put in big planters. So big, they were not concrete, they were big plastic, colorful planters, and put them in a pattern where you would instantly recognize that you're entering a different kind of space, and it would slow people down because the bridge is a quarter mile long. And people could get going really fast in that quarter mile. And this really indicated that the space was a different kind of space. And so people really slowed down. They had to slow down to kind of navigate through the planters. And it also gave pedestrians a little refuge behind the planters too. And it kept it with low plants, so we weren't obscuring anything. But that was really the most effective thing that we did, was just kind of changing the way the space looked. Visually really helped people slow down.
I can chime in too and give another kind of example of kind of a similar area for us at CSU. We have a kind of in the core of where a lot of our academic buildings are, we have a dismount zone. But I mentioned in the chat, unless it's really kind of patrolled, it kind of gets out of control and people start cutting through it all the time. And even like university vehicles start using it a lot. So we have to kind of keep on top of it. But I think a programmatic approach that we've tried that's worked pretty well is, I talked about that Rams Ride Right campaign that we do, where we pop up and reward people for doing the right thing. We do that a lot at the dismount zone, and we've found that it's most successful when we when we partner with our CSU police also, and there's kind of a carrot and stick element. So they'll be out there usually just giving warnings, but having the presence of our police officers out there kind of helps give it some additional credibility, where we'll be talking to people. If somebody didn't dismount, either we're stopping them and having a conversation about why it's important and why it's just not safe for them to be zooming through. And then the people that we catch doing the right thing are getting a reward. So we're kind of doing both. And we have found that having that combination of the two, the police really like it because it gives them some more positivity that they can do when they're out doing their enforcement. And we like it on the kind of education side because we have that credibility of having the police with us. So that's been something that has worked well for us as well.
One last quick addition is just we've really thought about where are we putting our racks that the bikes are going to, and sometimes those can be strategically placed out of the normal pedestrian traffic, which sort of separates them without costing any money, just sort of thinking about flows and patterns and where do you actually want the bikes to go and park. You know, a lot of times our initial tendencies are to put those right near the most convenient door that's in the heavy pedestrian path, and just putting them elsewhere a little bit out of the way and enforcing bike parking can actually drive them apart.
Awesome. Well, I know we are a couple minutes over. I want to thank everybody for staying on with us, and thank you for the really excellent questions. We will download a full copy of all the Q&A because I think they all did get answered in writing, and we'll post that along with the recording on the League's webinar page and on the BFU page. So you can check them out there later this week. I again really want to thank Erica, Lindsay, and Steve for speaking today, and thank you, Sarah, for helping moderate the Q&A and moral support along the planning process. And thank you everybody for being here. If you do have any additional questions, I'll put one more email address in the chat, which is bfa@bikeleague.org, for any questions about the Bicycle Friendly University program. And I added a bunch of links up to the chat, so hopefully you can download all of those or save those in open tabs, including a really great campus bike program guide that Steve wrote as part of his work at Darrow. So I want to point that resource out as a really excellent resource for folks that are looking for more ideas and information. So with that, I will close this out and thank you all again. And please stay tuned for future webinars from the League at bikeleague.org/webinars. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.